It is past midnight here, and I'm finding it hard to go to sleep. What keeps rolling through my mind are the things that I said today, and the things that were different, and the things that are actually that I said incorrectly, or blah 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 blah. It just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. So after about 10 minutes of being in bed, I just said, screw it. Thought it anyway. And came get my phone to record myself again. Wow. What is it that I want to say? Well, in some point in the video, I said that I had sex about 10 times last year. Recounting it, I think it was more around 20. Closer to 20 than 15. So, yes, relatively good year overall. What else? I guess this is just another aspect of me that I want to express sometimes. Sometimes I'm in bed and I just don't stop thinking about things. Things just keep going on and on and on and on. I realize my voice can sound extraordinarily lazy at times. I would like to be able to not sound like that. Maybe I am already. Okay, let's not go off on a tangent. Sex. What is the deal? Oh yes, I also forgot to express several things out about my sexual experiences last year. Last year was the first time I had sex in a desert, the first time I had sex in an ocean, the first time I had anal sex. Oh yeah. Yes, my penis was in an anus, and it was very fun. It was multiple times. It was surprisingly similar to frontal sex. Although that depends on how much oil is used and how wide the anus is, I guess. Anyway, it was also amazing. It just felt like this feeling of power. I am fulfilling the fantasy I have. Well, it was very good. And then what else? It was the first time I had a threesome. Yeah, so that's something that's relatively interesting that I was thinking about. Should I talk about that now? I had a threesome while I was in Malta with a guy and a girl. And I guess I could feel like, for a guy, that feels like the lesser of the two types of threesomes. The preferred one being the guy surrounded by the two girls, because then the guy is the special one. And it feels like, oh, I have such a magnetic being that two of them want to be with me at the same time. Oh my God. There's a bit more of the approval feeling is more intense. Of course, with the guy and the girl, it was also very fun. Um, I invited them over to my room where there was a bathtub, and we all three got in the bathtub. And the woman was in the middle, and we were caressing and canoodling and stimulating each other's genitals. And all the hot water around, and we could barely fit in, and we were like trying to put our legs on top and the bottom and try to see where we fit. It was playful and sensual, a lot of things at the same time. And it was all new, right? And there was this naked guy on the other side, and I thought, oh, it's not repelling me. It feels all right. Okay. The thing that made that night interesting was, well, among some things, was that at some point I sucked the guy's cock. For a while now, I've been curious about it. I've been feeling like, okay, what does that feel like? Now, women's vulvas feel amazing when I lick them. It's just like, give me more, don't take me out of here ever. But then cocks are just so different. They are an actual thing that sticks out of the body. And it felt like, oh, what did it feel like? Like a lollipop? It's interesting. Every time I recount this story, it seems that I'm like trying to make sure that it doesn't get interpreted like I like cocks now. I'm trying to make sure that it's clear that it was an intentional experimental thing to do and not something I just had been wanting to do for so long. Yeah, I still put effort into emphasizing that. It's true. Anyway, I went and sucked the cock, and it felt like, oh, okay, go. It felt like, oh, that's just kind of fun. You know, it's fun. It's like a lollipop going on, back and forth. It was just like 4 or 5 seconds for me, and then okay, I was done. Sometimes I have trouble figuring out if I want to continue a story chronologically or by topic. Here I'll continue by topic. So anyway, I sucked the cock, and then a lot of other stuff happened that night. And then in the morning, I woke up and I was kind of tired, and my body was kind of tired. The main feeling I had, though, was that of disgust. I felt disgusted with myself. Like, what is that? Oh my God, you did that. You did it last night. You can never undo it. Now you have sucked the cock. You can never go back. Like, how would you do that? Why would you do that? Those were the feelings that were in me. Very nasty, nauseating. It really felt sick to my stomach. And I didn't want to get up. Eventually I got up because we were in the middle of the training, and it just felt like I didn't want to be in conflict with anyone. I felt like just hiding myself and being in a corner. In the morning there was ecstatic dance happening, and people were dancing. Or just dance, not ecstatic dance. And I remember going in there, and I wanted nothing. I stayed there just because it was part of the program, and I accepted that, but I would like not interact with anyone. I was by myself. I was just sad, depressed. No, I actually woke up a lot earlier now, I remember. I woke up like at 6 a.m. And I went over to the temple area where we were, and I just sat down, and I I circulated disgust through me. Is what how I would describe it. I sat down in the middle of the room, put a blanket on top of me, didn't want to see the world outside at all, and just felt this like disgust feeling roll through me. Huh. It was like I had done something that part of me had promised, like I would never do that, ever, ever. I had part of me had promised that to myself, and then when I stopped doing that, it's like that part of me. Well, it felt betrayed, maybe. What I know is that it cracked my identity. Like the identity I had built upon my life, part of it has been I am not gay and I am not fat. And included in the I am not gay was an implicit I don't ever want to suck a cock. Um, and then after that night, that part was cracked. It cracked. It had it had kept its promise all all my life, and then suddenly whack! It just couldn't it just couldn't hold itself anymore. It was based on the assumption that I would never be gay and I would never do gay like things. Um, the reasons of which are in the past. Um, but then I broke that. I broke that assumption that was built on my identity apparently was a lot of it was built on that because I felt just terrible for 2 3 days. I was like, ugh. It was an awful feeling. I really felt like something inside was like something had cracked. Like there was this disgust, slimy, ugh, disgusting liquid moving out of that crack, emotional liquid, and then just circulating through me and going and getting processed. Ugh, disgusting. That's the feeling that I had at that time. And then 2 or 3 days later, I began to feel like, oh, okay, yeah, the feeling has been processed. And then I would say the words like, oh, I sucked a cock. It was really hard for me to say that. I would not even point my mind in that direction. Then I would say like, oh, I sucked the cock. And it felt like, oh yeah, more factual than that horrible thing that I was feeling it like before. It was just like, oh, I sucked the cock. Yeah. So what? Am I am I another person now? Am I different? Did I betray myself? Can I never be the same again? It was like, no, it was just that happened. And that was, what was that? Well, it was a new experience for sure. It was very relevant because my identity was holding on to that pillar. I will never do that because of so much imagined shame and disrespect and ostracism that I imagined living because of that. Now, in my life situation, I do not fear much of any of that. And while there might be people that might feel like they want to ostracize or reject me, though that's each person has their choices. What I feel pretty happy about is that it's not anymore a topic that I'm constantly avoiding. It used to be this thing that cocks almost by principle were disgusting to men. So it must be disgusting to me. It wasn't particularly pleasant either. It was just an experience. And I keep repeating this over and over again. Where am I going? No, I think that's it. That was significant because I think I had been curious about the actual sucking, like how did it feel? And then after I felt it, that curiosity is gone. What else happened last year that was sexual? Well, that very night, actually. That very night. I just have to, I don't have to say it, but I will say that I am looking at myself in my phone and I look like some kind of old Halloween monster vampire person because I set it on, I have my phone set to invert colors and to bedtime mode because it's too dark here. If I were to film it on without the invert colors, it would just be black and you would not be able to see my face. And I thought, no, I want to see my face. And la 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 la. Oh yeah, threesome. Person, woman. Oh yeah. Katara. Beautiful woman in so many ways. Anyway, the guy and I, we fucked her one at a time. And it was way more deep and intimate than just, we fucked. It was very ritualistic and it was very loving. And in the process of it all, so I was the first person who fucked her. And it felt very nice. And it lasted for about a minute. And my body felt satisfied. It felt like, oh yeah, okay, good, yeah. And then I came out and I was doing my thing and just caressing and feeling the skins. And then the other guy came along. And then he stimulated her and she was having a really good time, and then he fucked her, and then he fucked her, and oh my god, that was wild. They fucked really wildly. Not so much like in a chaotic fashion, but intense, like animal. Very intense and very deep and very looking and focused and they're intense. And And I was outside looking at them, like just beside them, and feeling like, well, that was way better than my session. Way better. Plus, the guy had a pretty big cock, long and wide. And I was left like, whoa. Did I have an important part in this? Was I valuable in this threesome, or what? Was I just there like, what's the word? Unnecessary ballast. So I got these feelings of envy and jealousy, and afterwards the whole thing had ended, and we were sitting outside, and I could just feel like I was not part of the group anymore at all. It was, like, they were having their conversation, and I could tell that they were very connected. They had connected amazingly. They had had sex, and they were with love, and they were really just enjoying themselves, smoking outside, and I was unable to be with them. So much jealousy, so much envying me. And I did not feel a connection to them because they were connecting. Part of so the disgust that I felt before because of sucking a cock was mixed in with these feelings of envy and jealousy and being left out from the group in my first threesome experience. So it was hurtful. I was like, ow, ow, that's not a satisfying threesome. I didn't feel joy. I felt disgust and envy and jealousy, and that's part of why I was feeling all bad. I was feeling emotional pains during those days. So it was an interesting experience because it pointed me to a couple of things. One, I could I I could stand to use some sexual practice. I have always rejected the idea of it because it felt like if I was doing something to enhance it, to enhance my, I don't know, lasting power or stamina, if they were like breathing techniques or something, like it would be kind of cheating, it would be artificial, and I like things to be very natural, just be what they are. And then partly I think it was also because I didn't want to like put too much effort into something and then expect that sex was actually going to come and for me to and and then I would be expecting it and eager to use my, you know, growing skills and then not find any output to do it, any outlet. I was afraid that what was I afraid of? I was afraid that I'd be frustrated. That I'd be frustrated if I didn't find a way to practice this sex that I was so eager to find. And partly because I thought, like, yeah, I can do it. I know my body's good. So now I haven't actually done much practice, or any, since then. By practice, I mean sexual practice, like for lasting longer, or for controlling my breathing, or even moving my energy around my body, like the tantrics. But I don't feel a rejection to the idea anymore. Like I feel no, I would actually like to be better in this aspect. I would like to have skills. I would like to have more capability in my sexual body because I love the feeling of a woman feeling pleasure because of me. It feels it's like candy. It's like a cheesecake feeling like you're enjoying so much and you're shouting out to the sky, and it's me that is helping produce this pleasure. And of course, it doesn't need to be only with my penis with penetration, but it can be, and that's a big part of it. So I would like to do that with a lot of skill. So I got myself a fleshlight. Woohoo! It hasn't arrived yet. It should have arrived today, but it probably will arrive in the next week or so. Amazon's having delays. I am curious about how that's going to go. Because it's having a fleshlight is I actually don't know. I haven't tried it yet. It just feels like it would be super different from actually having a woman. Especially because what I think actually causes my orgasm when I'm having sex with a woman is not so much the physical stimulation, but the energetic stimulation. It's so strong. I feel it so strongly. Sometimes I'm with a woman and we are beginning to caress each other, and I like put my hand right down her shirt right here, down just above her breasts, and like, and the energy in my body just spikes up. It's almost ready to pop. I'm almost ready to come. Sometimes. That strong. What seems to excite me so strongly is I think it's the idea that someone actually wants to have sex with me. That approval. Feeling that approval spikes me up all the way. And then when the time actually comes from penetration, I'm like a little dubious because because I'm already feeling so much energy. I'm feeling like okay, I'm coming in. I come in, and sometimes even at the entrance, I feel a pull. I feel a pull from her side that's just like pulling all the energy into her, and it feels like I'm powerless to hold that energy. Like I don't have energetic muscles to keep that energy in. It's just being pulled, like almost no touch, and yet the energy builds up. So I'm curious about how that's going to progress. I would love to be a super skilled, powerful, present, conscious lover. With all beloveds that I find along my way. Okay, 30 minutes. I think that's enough. I'll go to sleep this time. Good night.